In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Welcome to the Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire podcast. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Westra is Bestra with me, Lee G, and with me as always is Big M. How are things, Big M?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I had a week away, a weekend away from rugby, and so I had to do everything on catch up. But it's weird knowing that there's a rugby game on and you're kind of sitting there giving your wife a foot massage.
I'll be honest, that sounds a bit like domestic abuse to me, but
it's the most bizarre. I promised her I'd have a weekend away from rugby, and for her birthday and all of that kind of stuff. So I
told you, promise you're a month away in June. It's easier.
Yeah, I know, but her birthday's in January, so it doesn't kind of, I'd have to spend way too long. Anyway, it just had to be done, and we battled through it. We got through it. I caught up I caught up on the Scarlets game yesterday, and then a couple of others and what have you. So at least it wasn't the league. If it was league, that might be something. I might have to think twice about whether I miss a league game. But yeah, I coped. I battled through. I coped. So
still in one piece.
Only just. So let's talk about the game then. Let's because it's quite nice to still be undefeated in 2023. That's 5 of the last 6 games, is it, or 4 of the last 5 games that we won?
5 and 6.
Yeah, which kind of feels like we're in a good patch, really.
Yeah, we put in 2 decent performances in South Africa prior to that as well. So it's been a pretty decent time to be a Scarlet fan, considering the emotions we must have been feeling at the beginning of November.
But I'm still seeing, even after Friday's game, I was still seeing people on social media going, it's time for Peel to go. And it really, really, I don't think they're saying that they're Scarlet supporters, but I can't see how you can say that you're a Scarlet supporter when you're saying that about your head coach. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, We've had a bit of a purple patch, and it never lasts forever. So, we've played pretty poorly, and we've come away with a win. And you can't turn your nose up to that. I mean, we've played a lot better than we did on Friday night and lost.
Yeah. Well, that Ulster game, second game of the season, I think that's about as good as we played all season, and we came away on the wrong end of the scoreboard on that one. So, like you say, to play, there were patches in that game on Friday night that were actually quite good. There were little bits. It's just that thing again about stringing everything together, wasn't it? For me, it just a bit disjointed.
There were some key moments and some key decisions that if we decided to do something different, or it just fell our way, then that would have been a massively different game.
So tell me what you thought about the game. Talk me through the game as you saw it, in the good bits, the bad bits, the ugly bits.
I'll be honest. Obviously, I love being in the ground. I love having my season ticket, but it was a hard watch in that first half. I mean, the boys were just trying so hard, over trying, and obviously we've built a bit of a pattern over the years of being, the offloaders that play in the fancy champagne rugby. But it was just way too much, and things just weren't going to hand, which it made the game into a struggle. It's like, obviously, the line out was everywhere from not just from us, from them as well. I mean, they were not straight out. I think there was something like 30 line outs, and I'd probably say about 25 of them weren't straight.
So was it windy in the ground then? Was it?
It didn't feel it. Like, obviously I can't comment on what it's like on the pitch, but I'm in the south stand. I'm row G, so that's like 8 up. So I'm not massively miles away from the pitch, but I didn't feel much wind.
It's weird, isn't it? Because sometimes you can tell where it's a really windy game, and every line-out's going to get affected by it. So you just go to the front on every single one. But yeah, it didn't look like the flags were particularly, which is weird. I picked up the amount of not straights in the line-outs, and I thought, oh, well, it must be windy. That was my conclusion. But obviously not.
Yeah, it was really weird watching them. And I don't know who our line-out caller was for this game, but I'm pretty sure they had a bit of a talking to at half-time because, two decisions was at our own line-out was to go over the top, one at the beginning of the first half and one at the end of the first half. And the first one just went completely to shit. And, we lost possession. And the second one ended up into a plot to leaving the field in a yellow card. And that was 100% our fault. We could have prevented that by, not going over the top 5 meters from our own line.
Yeah. And if you're going to throw over the top, then go to a 2-man line. Do you know what I mean? There were some decisions there that you just think it's a bit naive, I think, more than anything. Yeah. And I don't think we gave Cheetahs the credit that they did. I think we walked over them quite easily in the first game, and we didn't think that they were going to come and really do anything, but they did. To be fair.
I haven't actually looked at this squad, so that's not a good thing for me. It's normally the first thing they do, but there seemed to be quite a few changes from that game last month. And because obviously there was no Pienaar, there was no Steyn, and they really, really fronted up and they give us a hell of a time. And it was surprising because they are effectively semi-professional outside of the league season. There's no reason that as Scarlets, as a professional outfit, sort of in the middle of our season, is struggling to put them away.
But then I think that says a lot about the desire inside the Cheetahs camp to get back to being a fully professional side. I think they see this game, the European Championship, they see it as an opportunity to prove that they can live at that level. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's a lot more in it for them. Like, you compare them with Bayonne this week, Bayonne have got nothing to play for. There's no reason why they should even try to put anything other than a development squad out against us, because there's nothing in it for them. They need to qualify. Well, they need to perform better in their own league. There's no chance of them qualifying, so you just carry on. But the Cheetahs have actually got something. There's an incentive there, where I think the South African agreement in the URC and the European Championship is a 2-year agreement. So this is year 1. They get next year as well. And then after the end of next year, the Cheetahs have a chance to re-enter the URC. I think
I really I don't know much into those sort of details. All I know is that the Cheetahs were a late shot in because of everything that's happening in Ukraine, because it's that Russian team, KSR Krasnik or something, that normally play. And obviously when they were refused, the Cheetahs basically shoved their hand up, I'll do it. And that's how they've ended up in it. So I don't know how long that's going to last, whether or not... I know the Big Four are here for a little while, but I think the Cheetahs, this might be their only season.
It'd be a shame, because they did put up a bit of a battle. I'm glad in a way that they did, because if we'd just walked over them, we wouldn't have... there was a danger of slipping back into that kind of everything's too easy kind of a mindset. Whereas we came through the Cardiff and the Dragons game, even the Ospreys game, really, with a quite a battling kind of a mindset. We had to fight for everything. We were in a proper battle, and I think that changed the way some of the players in the squad have been playing. So if we'd have gone back to a little bit of a walkover and non-competitive, I think it would have been bad for us. So I'm quite happy that they did give us a little bit of a shock, if that makes sense. It puts us in a better position. I think when we go back into URC, the boys will be in a better frame of mind to just keep playing. So
yeah, well, obviously everything is focused now on Europe, and I'm actually happy to say for once that the banners for the next fixtures around the area have actually gone up on the Monday after the game. I was really shocked when I saw that, because I think it was only a couple of days before the fixture. I think it was the Bayonne one last month, and it was like 3 days before the game that the banners started coming out everywhere. But no, the Bulls game is already up and advertised for 2 weeks' time. So I'm really, we all comment on the marketing and the commercial side of everything, but the Scarlets have actually, they've actually pulled their finger out and done their job straight away this time.
It's because they were listening to you, Matt. That's what it is.
It must have been. I was actually talking to the missus, because when obviously she comes with me to the games, and I was saying, the Bulls game is on the 27th. I think the new banners will go up about the 24th or 25th. No, and I was really surprised that they have got them up, and hopefully it makes a few people think, there's a home game in 2 weeks. Do I fancy going to it? It's a Friday night, so it's not too bad.
Especially if we put Bayonne away this weekend as well, it does kind of build the confidence going into that. And Bulls are already complaining about having to travel here, there. Well, all of the South African sides are about having to travel here, there, and everywhere. But that was the agreement that they signed up to. If they wanted to come into the league and they wanted to be part of Europe, they had to. It's part of this 2-year agreement. You can see that I've read something on Tinternet, can you?
Yeah.
It's part of this 2-year agreement that for the first 2 years, you basically do as you're told, and they don't get a say in. Pretty much for the first 2 years, they don't get a say in anything, and they just have to like it or lump it. So
I'll be honest, it seems not a straightforward fix, because nothing is ever straightforward in rugby. But they've got 6 6 away games in the league outside of the South African derbies. So you can, if you add the 2 European games in, that's 8 games over the season. I'm sure you can find a block of 4 twice in a season to do you go away for 3 weeks, play your 4 games. You do that twice over the year, and that's that. Instead of flying back and forth. It's like how we all go out, we play out 2 games in South Africa, and then we come back. I mean, I'm sure they could do exactly the same thing when they come here.
Yeah, and I think probably after this season, something like that will change. But it's either way, the Bulls game is looking like a bit of a tasty one now already, doesn't it?
It is, and for obviously no one knows what time we normally record, but we're about half hour out from the Wales squad announcement, so we should have an idea of who we're going to be missing for that game in a little bit.
Yeah. So based on last Friday's performance, then, who were the outstanding players for you that you wouldn't be surprised if they were included in the Wales squad?
I'll be honest, they are outside shots, and just purely because this is Gatland's first squad, and I think he's going to bring a few new names that people are not expecting. So I think that Joe Roberts and Carwyn Tuapolotu are in with a shout. I honestly think they do. I mean, both of their games last week, obviously minus the yellow card incident, which I thought was pretty harsh considering everything going on. But both Roberts and Tuapolotu had outstanding games. And we spoke last week about Tuapolotu, about, if he makes, a big run once or twice a game, doesn't always have to lead into a try. then it'll be progress going forward. And that's exactly what we saw. I think it was about 3, maybe 4 runs where he put a few meters down, and he got through a few players, which, it's really good to see, because, he's still a young man, 21, 22 years old. It's brilliant for us. And Joe Roberts, another one, he doesn't stop. I mean, I think there was one set play in the first half where he picked up the ball on the 22 and he went through about 2 or 3 players, and he got took down short on the 5-meter line. Yeah. And there's moments like that throughout the entire game. And one thing I've noticed, especially playing at home, because of where I'm sat and where I'm positioned, they're placing Roberts, deep in the 22 on the 5-meter line, basically where Callum Mahoney always stands. So he's the first receiver from kickoffs, and he is trucking it up like a champion. Fair play to the boy, and he's hitting hard every time.
See, I think both of them had fantastic games on Friday as well. But I think probably it's too early for Tuipulotu. I think we've just, when you look at the amount of other players that we've got in Wales, I think probably after the World Cup he'll come into the Welsh setup. But from, I think that can only benefit us. I think.
Yeah, look, I 100% agree with you. I'm not saying there's any real logic behind this. I'm just saying, in my mind, thinking of going back to 2008, and Gatland left out a few big name stars back then, and obviously with the age profile, I wouldn't be surprised to see some players who haven't got that much game time at regional level really be just injected into that squad right now.
Well, I mean, having said that, when you look at Foxy and Gareth Davis, and Foxy seems like, we've been quite not critical of him, but we've been honest in the assessment of his performance, and it's like he's started to grow back into it. It's like he's fallen in love with the game again. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's starting to enjoy playing the rugby again, and because he was under so much pressure, but he's actually, I think he's playing some of the best kind of rugby he has done for a really, really long time at the minute.
I'm 100% with you. And personally, I think a lot of that is to do with them not having the defensive responsibilities as of a 13, coming in at inside centre. And you'll probably know more of this than me, because I'm not a fast boy, I'm not a back. But having someone like Joe Roberts, who's got that pace and who is, defensively capable, or who reads situations quite well, it's comforting having that outside you.
Yeah,
and I think that allows you to focus more on yourself. I know he's club captain, etc., etc. You got more jobs, but when you're taking little things away that you're not focusing on, obviously it takes so much pressure off yourself. Unnecessary pressure that you give yourself when you're in these situations.
Yeah, because I think what it's doing for him is he's just got a bit more confidence in defence and attack. Really, he's got a bit more confidence in the people that are around him. Costello's defence when he came on was superb. Patch does what Patch does and was excellent between the pair of them. And so he's got the inside channel is covered. And now that Joe Roberts is really starting to show what he's... And I think what's happening, and I saw it a couple of times on Friday, where Jonathan Davis is, where he's making the tackle, and then Roberts is just coming and flying straight in and going for that turnover and slowing that ball down. And they're working really well together, because people have to go around the outside of Jonathan Davis. They know that there's no route through the middle. So you have to go around the outside, and that's just pushing them into the 12-13 channel, which makes it easier for Foxy to chop them and Joe Roberts to strip them. So I think the two of them together are working really, really well. And I think it's just giving Foxy confidence to go and play his game. And I think that's why the smile is back on his face. So, it's enjoyable. What about Gareth Davis as well, though? Because Gareth Davis had quite a decent game when he came on. I thought,
Yeah. I mean, the circumstances of him coming on were pretty suspicious. I mean, Blacker getting called off with, 15 seconds to go in the half for a HIA, and then
odd.
And then never returning. Obviously, I can understand not returning, but we didn't get. I didn't hear any confirmation of whether or not he passed the HIA or not. So I'm worrying myself. Did you manage to hear anything about Blacker?
Nothing, and I've not seen anything since. I've not seen anything as to why. There was nothing obvious that said he's had a bump to the head. I replayed a couple of plays before that, and you're like, well, maybe he got caught at the bottom of a ruck, because it's all done off the gum shield. A lot of the reports that they get are off the gum shield. So
the O-Pros.
Yeah, because they've got the little chip inside the gum shield, and if that chip gets shaken, then that's kind of like one of the signals for HIA. So maybe he got a wallop on the head while he was on the floor or something.
Or maybe he got some grass in it and he shook it against himself.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things that you look at. I thought he was playing okay. I thought he was, he was looking sharp. But who knows?
His best game, we've seen Blacker play immensely strong, recently. But, I managed to find a replay of the game without any commentators' links. So, all I could hear was everyone shouting, and I could very clearly hear Holly talking. And she was saying, the doctors have called you off, get off the pitch. And he was just looking bemused. So, from that standpoint, I'm hoping that obviously there was nothing to it, and he's going to be, fit for us and, probably for Wales, because personally I think he's the in-form and best scrum half in Wales at the minute.
Yeah, definitely.
But moving on to Gareth Davies, I mean, this was his first game back?
I think he had a couple at the start of the season, didn't he?
Yeah, but did he play? Yeah, he played against Cardiff. He came off a bench, but, he has had a few niggles, and, he knows himself that he's got a bit of a point to prove when he was left out of that autumn squad. I can't remember the reason whether or not he was injured going into that or not. But he's got a bit of a point to prove, and he played really, really well. And I'm super happy to see him, play into a decent, not a decent standard, to a good standard, because it only benefits us to have, so many players in these positions.
But then, with 20 minutes to go, he makes a break from the halfway. And, he clearly breaks the line. He's gone straight through. No one's with him. And he's got a one-on-one with a fullback. And I would have expected him to try and go round the fullback. I would have expected him to, take that fullback on. And because he's the one with momentum. He's the one going forward, and the fullback's coming across at an angle. And then he kicked.
Yeah. This is one of the moments I was talking about earlier. I did expect him to try and go for it, but obviously with his age, I know he's got pace. He knows he's got pace, but I think he was, more focused on the state of the game at that point. Because was it 17-all at that point?
I think actually his kick led to the penalty. Yeah.
And I think if you watch back and you look at that kick, it stays sort of around the 15-meter mark on, for the lineouts. And if you go back wider, if he kicks that and it goes more towards the corner, Steph Evans is on that ball and when he's in for a try. Because, the defenders are so narrow. I think the kick was the right thing to do in that situation. It's not what I expected him to do. It was just not executed as greatly as it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that there was a definite tactic of chipping the ball behind. The Cheetahs line was coming up very flat, and there was plenty of space in behind, because that worked a couple of times. It worked for Steph Evans' try. It worked for, there were a couple of times before that where, they're coming up flat, and then all of a sudden we're making 10, 15 meters. So, yeah, I can see that. But I wanted him to go for it. if you look, so there was that incident. There was Lousey's charge down that if he gathers that, there was another one. I think it would have been a little slip pass back inside to Steph Evans, and he's away, and somebody kicked it again. So there were more tries that were left out there that we really, after the last couple of weeks, I would have expected us to be putting them away rather than cocking them up. Which Lousey's charge down was unfortunate because he kind of half gathered it, but he did well to charge it down. So
he tried to flick it to himself with one hand. It was quite amusing watching it back. It's as though he's just saying, "Oh, I've got the ball by here. Oh, I'll just tap it over here." And it's like, oh, it was quite funny to watch, and it was a massive opportunity for there because if he popped the ball off to Dan Davis, so if he didn't knock it on, we were in for a score there, 100%.
Yeah, what would Wales give to have 2 second rows like Lousey and Fafita at the minute? Those ball carrying, because they do the big heavy work, but they're like having Tad Burnback with an extra back row on the pitch. I know Fafita was playing 6 on Friday, but when those two are on the pitch at second row, it just feels like it's almost like basketball sometimes. Do you know what I mean? When they're running down the pitch, they look much bigger than the reality of what they are. But it is nice to see those two. I mean, Fafita had a cracking little run up the left-hand side of the pitch, where he had just no right to go and make 25, 30 metres there. And he just went straight through some pretty average tackling, but he goes straight through it. So, there was so much positivity to take out of that game. And I know we won, but it felt like we should have won more. It should have been a bonus point. It should have been, 5, 6, 7 tries, if anything. But,
that's the main thing that I'm not too disheartened by. The other results in the group have meant that, missing the bonus point isn't going to be detrimental to the knockout phase of this competition. All we have to do now is beat Bayonne and we're guaranteed first spot, which, if for whatever reason we went into this, last round knowing that we needed the bonus point win in Bayonne. I know they're not, really paying for anything and we should do it. But the mentality, the change of it makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy that, not executing these chances has had a knock-on effect. And while we're talking about the second row, we saw someone get his first start of the season on Friday in Morgan Jones. And the lad played pretty well. And, he seems to be... Okay, I don't want to say this because I'm not a great fan of Adam Beard, but he played very much like him in that game where he was constantly a nuisance in that line-out. He must have stolen 3 or 4 by himself pretty easily.
Yeah, he definitely did, yeah.
I didn't see a great deal of work around the park, but obviously you'll know yourself, unless you're actually looking for it, it's hard to see. But I did see him in a few rucks, and he was putting his body about. So the only, it's a good start for him. He hasn't really cracked on from a few seasons ago, same as Jack Price. But, they've got good mentors. They both had pretty good games, Jack Price coming off the bench as well. And, I think the Fafita is going to be moved into that 6th jersey long term. So I think that, it's good that Jones and Jack Price, not Tom Price, because he's very old in comparison to these boys, get these opportunities.
Yeah. So I tell you who else impressed with as well. Dan Davis, again, I just think, he's not your traditional turnover producing 7, but he's a bit of a...
He's a 6.5, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a bit of a wrecking ball, isn't he? With ball in hand and in defence. He just seems to be one of those players that pops up everywhere. I mean, he's got a massive work rate on him, and yes, it's a pleasure to watch. Really is.
That's another thing that continued this week. That work rate, that pump in the legs, that spinning the tackles, and what I have especially noticed over the last month is the desire of our players when they're tackling to get out of the ruck, to roll away. You see players literally crawl. It's as though they're crawling for their lives to get out of there, and it is obviously it's a massive part of the game. The little small things that people don't think about, the basics as such. And about 2 months ago, we wouldn't have been doing that. And our penalty count, I think we had 8 penalties against us this week. I mean, we've had games where they've been high, 15, 16, 17, 18. And doing these little things is, contributing to that penalty count coming down.
And I think that's kind of, like you say, it's more of an attitude than there are obviously some technical elements in there, but it's the attitude of get up and work harder that maybe wasn't there at the start of the season. And I think maybe having Calamafoni out has benefited us in a way. We've had to go, there wasn't somebody there that we can rely on to make 10, 15 meters every time. So we've had to work a bit harder to do it. And people are starting to build that confidence that, we don't have to rely on Calamafoni all the time. As much as I love watching him run like a nut job at a brick wall, it's sometimes nice to see other players take that mantle on. And people like, where you've got Tuipulotu and Dan Davis in a back row, and say Jones in a second row, and even both of the Price boys coming through in the second row as well, that kind of gives you a bit of confidence. And what I saw as well on Saturday, Harry O'Connor played for Carmarthen Quins on Saturday as well.
He's back.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I don't know. I saw him in the lineup. Don't know how he played. Don't know if he made it through okay, but he's definitely on that route back, if you like, which is, again.
One sec. He played for Quins.
Carmarthen Quins.
Oh,
yeah.
That must have been awkward because his little brother plays for Llanelli, doesn't he?
Well, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting to see him on the Llanelli team sheet. And it happened to be I was looking for some of the other boys. And I happened to see him there, and I thought, fantastic. That's what you want to see. So, yeah.
Yeah, and on the subject of front rows, I mean, I don't know how you took to this as a coach, but I didn't like the setup of our scrum on Friday night because I didn't realise this, but Kemsley Mathias is a giant. I mean,
he's 6'1".
He is huge. Yeah, and I know that's not terribly big for a prop, but something that it's not a philosophy as such, but I like alignment in my scrum. I like my front row to all be a similar size. I like my second rows to be a similar size. It's sort of, the dynamics of pushing when you've got the same size units pushing together, it makes things easier, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And you got Lee Mathias, who is 6'1" on one side, and we had Sebastian, who is 5'9" on the other side. It didn't look right to me, and I thought we did struggle a little bit. I'm not saying that was either player's fault, but I do think there was some technical issues having a slanted front row.
But then sometimes that can work in your favour. I think sometimes that can be exactly what you need to. But put it this way: if you're gonna experiment with a front row, then do it against a side like the Cheetahs, not the Bulls. No, not the Bulls, not the Stormers. Do it. But I've definitely been quite critical of Sebastian earlier on in the season, and I'll be fair to the guy. I actually saw him put a bit of work in on the pitch. And he had a good couple of turnovers. He had a good couple of runs with the ball, which I think has been his weakness. and he looked like he wanted work, where sometimes he's kind of like, my job is to do a scrum and then I'll go to a line-out. So he looked a bit more with it. And Wainwright, when he came on as well,
yes,
a lot has been said about his experience and is he up for it and this, that, and the other. I thought the kid did okay. I thought,
he was only on for a short time. And, he made 2 turnovers on himself. One was, a jackal, and the other was his line speed, making the opposition back row knock on. And, with both of them, with both our tight heads, with both Sebastian and Wainwright, their work rate was really, really good. And obviously, you need your props to be doing that sort of work. You basically need everyone to be, a modern sort of hybrid player.
Yeah.
And obviously we can't include Samson Lee at the minute for obvious reasons. But we seem to have got quite a bit of stock now at tight end. We've got Will Griff, who I'm not sure exactly why he missed out. Sebastian O'Connor now back with Quins, so hopefully he'll be in consideration for this game. And Wainwright being brought in. I understand the issues with Wainwright with his experience, and looking back at the few scrums that he was involved in, his back positioning, it scared me watching on. Knowing when you've been a prop yourself and you've worked in that front row, or even been a coach of a pack, you sort of know your body positionings and everything. And he was arched, and he was at an angle on one of them, and I was just looking at it and I was going, he's going to slip a disc now, the way he was going in. So that worried me from a personal point of view, never mind the aspect of the game and losing the scrum. So I think there is quite a bit of work to be done with him on that side of the game, which it does make it surprising considering he's already got caps for Wales.
Yeah, but then he's got some good people around him to help him with that, hasn't he? And I'd rather see him there learning than not. So but being a prop is hard enough position as it is anyway. The expectation of a prop nowadays is massively different from what it used to be. So
Christ, I only gave a play in 10 years ago, and from then to now, I wouldn't have been able to cope. My fitness is, closer to a bloody, my 8-year-old runs rings around me like, and I would never have been able to cope. So their work rate and this stuff in the loose is far beyond anything that, anyone could have expected, especially at this stage of the 3 years.
Yeah, it's anyway, it's one of those things that it can only be a good thing going forward for the boys. So let's look at going forward then. Let's look at this week's game. Let's look at the Bayonne game. What are we expecting from that?
Well, as always, I'm expecting the win. The bonus point should come with it, because obviously Bayonne have got a big side in our pool. So, and like you said earlier, they've got the league position to focus on. So I am expecting very much a development side.
So while we've just been talking, the Welsh squad's just been announced.
Yeah, I'm trying to look out.
So I think there's some big omissions, but the bit for me is Ken Owens has got a C next to his name. Dane Blacker not in there, and I would have expected Dane Blacker to be in there, but yeah, key bit for me, and I would have expected Roberts to be in there, certainly ahead of Joe Hawkins, but that's the way he wants to play it. So
Teddy Williams, Christ. I knew there would be players that, weren't even on the peripheries who were going to be, boosted into the squad.
But key bit for me is Ken is captain. Patchell is back in. I'm surprised that Joe Hawkins has been given a nod, but here we go. Halfpenny is in there. Who else we got in there? David Jenkins is in there. He's another young one. Dylan Lewis, I thought he was out injured. and Leon Brown. I thought they were both out injured, but there we go. But yeah. So
where do you got this? Because I can't no updates anywhere. Oh, Christ.
I've got it off the WRU Facebook page, mate. Is what I've got. But anyway, we shall. I'm surprised that Kieran Hardy is in there and Dane Blacker isn't. I'll be honest, because Hardy has barely played for us, and Blacker has been superb. He's outplayed Reece Webb, he's outplayed Thomas Williams, he's outplayed Kieran Hardy, and those are in there, and he's not.
Oh so my God!
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one to take.
That is.
But there we go.
Unreal.
That's the way that we'll no doubt talk about that more as we get closer to international times. But yeah, just going back to the Bayonne game then. I can't see anything more than a bonus point win. I think it's got to be this week just to really set us up for the URC, and it means that we get home advantage in the games that we do play. So the annoying bit is that the next round is April 1st and 2nd, I think it is, and I've already got stuff booked on April 1st and April 2nd.
Oh no!
Yeah,
no.
I've got I've got tickets for a comedian on the 1st, and the boy is off on tour to South Africa on the 3rd, so we're taking him back on the 2nd. So yeah, it's gonna be one of.
You want to hope it's played on the 31st then?
Yeah, I don't think there's a Friday night option. It's only it just says 1st and 2nd. It doesn't say that. It may do. Who knows? It may do.
Who knows? Well, either way, obviously, I'm not looking too far into the future, and I'm not being too optimistic. But realistically, we should finish top of our pool. We should get side in the competition, so we should be getting the home quarterfinal the weekend after. So there's not too much to worry about.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see who we get.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm still shocked by that Welsh announcement. I mean, we've only got five starts in there, and I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, me too. I think the more that stay with us, the better. I'm a bit disappointed actually to see Wyn Jones go back in because he's played half a game.
I'll be honest, it doesn't make a difference to me, Wyn Jones, because like you've just said, he's played half a game. That is all he's played. So it's not. I know he's a great player, but we've managed with Matthias and Thomas all season. So I don't see it as a great miss. The same as Hardy. I know he's a really good player, but at the minute, Blacker is far and above much better form than him.
Yeah, and no place in the side for Costello, so he'll be back with us. So it's a fairly, for club sides, this is a pretty good squad for us, I'm thinking, because I think
it gives us a chance against the Bulls and throughout, and obviously there's 4 games that we're without an international, so only losing 5 players is a big result. And I mean, I think, okay, if they're all fit, I think only Wyn Jones, obviously I know it's 3 of the 5, but Wyn Jones, Ken Owens and Halfpenny, they're the only ones who automatically go back into the 15. Patchell and Hardy, very much 23, but they're not first, for us at the minute.
Yeah. Interesting. Anyway, let's quickly rip through the results from last weekend, because obviously I was away, so we didn't get to do that. So we're both expecting big wins on Saturday, and lovely jubbly, thank you very much. So let's have a look at Narberth game then. Narberth game against Ystrad Rhondda was postponed last week because of the pitch. I think a lot of them.
Do you know why?
Wasn't it due to the pitch?
It was a council decision.
Really?
The RCT council cancelled all games because of all the flooding. They cancelled all games.
Yeah, well, I suppose up there it was insane weather, but there we go. So anyway, Narberth are at home this week against Glamorgan Wanderers. I think that should be quite a comfortable win for Narberth. Wanderers have only won 3 games all season.
3 games.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that's quite a comfortable Narberth win myself.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Wanderers have got a lovely pitch, and when Narberth do get to go down to the Memorial Ground, they'll have a nice day because it's nice and wide. But Narberth should be putting Glamorgan away.
This is at home. This is it. This is at the
I know this is with Narberth. So when they get a chance to go down,
okay, I'll let you get away with that one. So, this is going to be heartbreaking. This is so. One West.
I know it is.
So the game that we were really looking forward to, Crymych and Newcastle Emlyn, got postponed, which is fine. Whitland lost 15-32 at Vellinfoyle. Aberystwyth had a cracking win, 65-0 away at Pencloud. And then Pembroke away in Llangennech. Just
don't talk about that.
Oh, it's to put that kind of score in Division 1 is
just don't say it. If people want to find out, they can look themselves. Don't say it on here.
Yeah, have a look on All Way Sport. But I feel for the boys. I really do. I feel because I know the boys are working hard up there, and I know a lot has changed over COVID and what have you. But it's that kind of score is a hard one. It's a tough one. So anyway, moving on to this week's fixtures. Another tasty one, Aberystwyth and Crymych. I'm going for Crymych.
Oh, it's on me now. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. It's just, the undefeated element. They are, I'm so gutted that game didn't get played with Emlyn.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. Aberystwyth are not a walkover team. They are very much in with the fight for promotion to the new championship. But Crymych are looking one of the strongest, if not the strongest, in the league.
Yeah, definitely. Whitland are away to Gowerton. That's got to be a bit of a Gowerton win there. I'm thinking. I'm going to go for Crymych win, by the way, on that, and then Gowerton to beat Whitland as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Again, we talk every single week. Where's Whitland? And it's still where's Whitland.
It's still just not happening for them, is it? And then Pembroke at home to Hendy. So, sometimes
opportunity, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Hendy they've only won 2 games this season, and I think one of them was against Pembroke. So, I don't know where the route out is for Pembroke. I don't know if they've changed coaches. I know they were looking for a new forwards coach, but I think they've got to be realistic. Where they went up 3 divisions in 3 years, and probably that last promotion was a step too far, but it's I can't see Pembroke winning. I'd love to see Pembroke winning. I just can't see it.
You've got to back them regardless.
Okay,
I'm going to back them regardless, Pembroke.
Yeah, like I said to the boys the other day, it's not like I'm putting the house on it. So let's go for a Pembroke win. Yeah. Okay, down into 2 West then. Let's have a look at results from last week, first of all. So Milford lost 15-0 away in Carmarthen Athletic. Fishguard 34-12 loss in Mumbles. and Tenby won 27-0 at De Croix, which, that's a good win for Tenby because they were both mid-table, and now Tenby kind of bump up. That puts Tenby into 4th now, which, like we said last week, it's difficult to say, where they're going to end up because Pontedillas and Kidwelly are kind of a stretch ahead. I think they're just too far away to be caught, but they could probably, if things go their way, they could leapfrog Nankaredig into 3rd. Fishguard going to end up mid-table. There's a group of them mid-table there that are between 15 and 17 points, and then Milford going to struggle to make mid-table. But there we go. Yeah. So games this week. Fishguard at home to Carmarthen Athletic.
I'm going to go Fishguard. The similarly placed teams, and the home advantage should be enough for Fishguard.
Yeah, I just think Fishguard are struggling at the minute, but that home advantage, particularly with the strong. I know, but it's one of those things that maybe the wind might do it for them, but I think they're going to struggle. I think they'll really struggle against Athletic. Athletic have put a bit of a run together, and Fishguard have had a bit of a run of, not so great games. So, yeah.
Time to them both.
I'm going to have to stick with Carmarthen, mate. I'm going to have to.
That's the first difference. That's good.
Next then, Milford at home to Tenby.
Yeah, Derby is, especially, intra-Pembrokeshire Derby should be something to be excited about. But, I can't see this going any other way than a comfortable Tenby win.
Yeah, and I think it should be bonus points. And mind you, the Milford pitch is really open, really exposed. And again, you just don't know what the weather was like. So, yeah. Who knows? It might play a factor in it, but I'm thinking that's a Tenby win as well. So, yeah. Okay, let's have a look at Division 3 then. 3 West. So results from last week: Abereyron won 29-7 at Tregaron. Cardigan Quins game was called off. That's the second game on the trot now for the Quins being called off. Second away game being called off. And I can only assume that was because of the pitch, but the Cardigan pitch is usually quite good. I don't understand why that one would be postponed, but it was. Larne dished out a 28-0 win at St. David's. Langham were on the wrong end of an 87-0 scoreline. Neyland 45-22 win against Llanybother, and St Clair's 22 Haverfordwest 5. So no massive kind of shocks there other than the size of the Langham loss. I think that was mid-season.
I'll be honest, I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed with the St David's score. Because, Larne are flying high and, only beat 28-0. That's a good job done by them.
Yeah, but then, St. David started the season strong. Langham grew into the season. So, they've got the potential within the sides to do something. It's... 28-0, maybe.
Langham got a good youth side as well. So, hopefully they'll improve next season.
Yeah, if they can retain some of those players. But usually what happens with Langham youth players is they will move to Haverfordwest or Tenby or Milford. They'll move to other sides. The Langham youth team at the minute has got boys from, it's got a couple of my boys in there, it's got Neyland boys in there, it's got Milford boys in there, it's got Haverfordwest boys in there. And when they go back into teams that have, someone to play for, the chances are that a lot of those Langham boys will go back to the sides they came from. So there we go. That is life, isn't it? Right, so that's that for this weekend. So the only other results, well, there are two other results actually, under 18s. So the under 18s game last week against the Ospreys was called off because of the weather. And under 18s boys are playing RGC away this weekend, which is a bit of an insane kind of thing, but that is where they're going. And then we had the girls,
yes,
under 18s girls, or under 18s ladies is how I should kind of phrase it, shouldn't I?
It's the says girls and everything.
But so they had a good win against Ospreys on the weekend as well. That was their first. The results were quite close. I think there was only 4 or 5 points in it, but we ran away with it to start 20. Yeah, I
think it was either 22-7 or 22-18.
Yeah,
but
it was.
I know the scoreline was 22-3 at one point. So it's good for them to get off to a good start. Obviously they had the unfortunate position of being the first team to miss out on week 1. But they've come into this. They've played quite strongly and they've got a win. So you can't knock your head at that.
Yeah, exactly. So fair play. Well done, girls. That was a cracking game to win. And I did have it here. I had who are they playing next and all of that, but I've lost it.
They're not playing again till the 29th, so we're okay for this week.
Is that what it is? Is it? So there's them.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
So we've also got the county 15s are playing. And now are they playing this weekend? I haven't got any more information other than they're due to play. So are they playing this weekend?
Yeah. The fixtures I've seen, the dates they've put up is the 18th, so Wednesday, tomorrow. That's the date I've seen, but I think that's just, the starting week for, that age rugby, so it could be a day. We'll try and get confirmation. But they are in the, what is it, the Miller Bowl?
Yeah, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
RGC South at home, so, it should be a nice one to start with, nice home game, and let's see. We'll find out where it is, and we'll try and gather as much support as we can, and we'll get a nice 5,000 down here, and we'll support the boys.
We'll see if we can do a bit of broadcasting from that one as well. That would be nice. Right, and that's it, my friend. So loads of stuff to go through this week, wasn't there? That was a bit of a hefty old one. When we eventually got the technology working.
Yeah, I was going to say after the awkward start, what was it, 4 or 5 attempts to get us on?
Yeah, I think it was the snow must have affected the phone lines. That's what it was.
Yeah, it must have. I'm using Firefox, now, so Chrome did not want to work for me this morning.
Anyway, that's it for another week, my friend. We shall do the same again next week, and hopefully we can have another positive win to G us up for next week. And fingers crossed. Enjoy your rugby, Mark. I'll speak to you next week.
And hopefully we'll be coming back to a 49-0 win, and we'll have fun. See you again, but
all the best, mate. All good. Ta-da, mate.
And you.
Ta-da. You have been listening to the Westerer is Besterer podcast from the Scarlet Supporters PEMS team. You can follow us on Twitter on Scarlet PEMS, find us on Facebook with Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire, or email us on scarletspems@gmail.com. And remember, West is best, but Westerer is Besterer. Cheers.
Sports Social Podcast Network.